Welcome to State College, a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania, home to the Pennsylvania State University, the famous Penn State football team, and Creamery ice cream. This is where many students call home. This is no different for me, and this was no different for Korean international student Cindy Song. When day turns into night, students of Penn State take part in their favorite pastime, drinking. This was no different for Cindy Song on Halloween night of 2001. She went to Players Nightclub, now known as The Basement. I asked patrons at a nearby bar if they've ever heard of the case.
Have you ever heard of Cindy Song?
I have not, no.
Have you ever heard of Cindy Song?
I have not.
Have you ever heard of Cindy Song?
I have not.
I was surprised that many of the people I talked to never heard of Cindy Song's disappearance. How could an international disappearance case be forgotten so easily? I set out with my film crew to explore the main locations of the case and potentially find answers.
This is Cindy Song's former apartment. After a night of partying, she came back here with her friend. She got dropped off and went into her apartment. But, allegedly, she went to the local grocery store Giant. We don't know if she was kidnapped, we don't know if she was murdered, and we'll probably never find out. Because Giant at the time had security cameras which had looping footage. So when the police eventually came here to investigate, the footage from the previous night was gone. This is the Coop, formerly known as Seoul Garden Korean Chicken. This is where Cindy used to work at. When she didn't appear for her shifts a few days after Halloween, her friend Stacy reported her missing.
Shortly after Stacy reported her missing, Stacy, another one of Cindy's friends, Lisa, and the police investigated her apartment. The bunny costume she wore to the nightclub the night before was nowhere to be found, but her eyelashes, cell phone, purse, Britney Spears tickets, and a receipt for a new computer were found in the apartment. It was unlikely she just ran away. Searches were commenced, but no body or clues were found. Police got Detective Brian Sprinkle on the case the following Monday, but he was unable to do much because of a lack of evidence. Cindy's mother, Bonsoon Song, flew to State College to try and find her daughter. She and student organizations posted missing posters and criticized police for having racial bias and not doing enough to find Cindy. Detective Brian Sprinkle disagreed.
The bottom line is we've done everything in our power that we could in this case.
We had cultural differences, we had language barriers.
I mean, I understand that they were upset and frustrated. They didn't understand how things worked here in the U.S.
A candle lighting was held a few weeks later, but Bonsoon and the student organizations didn't give up their efforts despite the standstill in the case. There was a sighting of Cindy in Philadelphia, but this was quickly determined to be a hoax. The Halloween from Hell seemingly had no closure or no ending, until one day in 2003. A complicated series of events, and the arrest of a man named Paul Weekly, linked another man named Hugo Zielinski to Cindy's disappearance. He became the number one suspect. Police obtained a warrant and dug up Hugo's yard. 12 bodies were discovered, including 2 associates, Kurkowski and his girlfriend, Facette. Cindy's remains were not found. Hugo was a murderer, but apparently not Cindy's. The case has been at a standstill ever since. I nearly scratched the surface describing this case, yet the town seems to have forgotten Cindy's story. Maybe it's because of the countless tragedies that have occurred here, or maybe time just makes people forget. But we can't forget. Cindy was one of us. She was a promising young woman on the verge of graduating. A promising young woman on the verge of doing great things. She was a daughter. Bonsoon hasn't forgotten. Detective Brian Sprinkle hasn't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. We have to keep her story alive, or she truly will disappear.